experiences. And as a starting point, Eduix and Glowdom want to transform the way information is managed at all levels of education in Namibia. Their goal is to change the way school and student management and related services are done in the country. We pave the way for modern and simple to use digital platforms as genuine tools for self-leadership, where each stakeholder can enjoy up-to-date and highly accessible information and base their decisions on the facts they draw from that information. My name is Laís Oliveira Leite. I am the moderator of this 4th episode. And before I introduce our participants, I just would like to emphasize how information systems can play a relevant role in overcoming many infrastructural challenges. In the education sector especially, school and teacher level data can clarify their needs and what can be done to approach their objectives for education. And before I present the participants of this webinar, I would like to invite all the audience to post your questions written in the Zoom group chat. And I will collect all your questions and we will make the questions to the participants of the webinar in the end, in the last 15 minutes. So let's start with our first lecturer, Ruusa Iipinge. She is a lecturer at NUST and data scientist volunteer at WOC Namibia. Thank you very much for being here with us, Ruusa. Please, the stage is all yours. Ruusa, can you hear us?
I can hear you, sir.
Yes, please, the stage is all yours. Turn on your video camera if you're comfortable with, and yes.
I'm afraid I'm not going to turn on my video camera, but I have a PowerPoint to share with everyone.
Please go ahead.
All right, just while I'm sharing my PowerPoint, let me just do that. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes. No, actually not the PowerPoint, but now we can, yes.
You can see.
Yes.
All right. Okay, as earlier mentioned, I am Ruusa Iipinge. I'm a lecturer at the Namibian University of Science and Technology, and I'm a data scientist freelancer at UNAM. And I'm one of the co-founder for We Are Capable Namibia, and currently I just serve in the NGO as a volunteer. So upon completion of my studies, my master's in data science for business, I came back home and I found myself really not being understood in the first place to say people did not understand what data science is all about in several ways. So I started creating awareness, and it's from that way I founded this non-governmental organization, We Are Capable Data Namibia, so that we educate and mobilize the use of data in different organizations and public and private organizations for better decisions. So on the first slide, as you could see, it's just a short background about who I am. And in this presentation, I thought maybe perhaps we start talking about data decisions specific maybe in governments, I felt like maybe let me share my experience of some surveys or some studies that I have carried out on the current stance of private and public institutions on data. And the surveys are specific on this area because I felt like mostly private and public organizations are more ahead of government when it comes to technology. So that's why the focus, I chose this specific one to understand where is Namibia at the moment. So I am going to present the findings of assessing the Namibian readiness on data decisions, which is a case study of financial and telecommunication company. So this study was based on financial and telecommunication companies. All right, so what was the objectives? The objectives is to identify existing statistical and mathematical tools that are currently used in public institutions for data-driven decisions. So that's what I was trying to understand. Before, when we are talking about data science, do we have the tools? And what are the challenges that are holding back data-driven decisions in financial and telecommunication institutions in Namibia? So that was the main objectives. Now, who are the people that are involved in these studies? So the whole focus was really to involve people that are in the organization, and we are referring to them as data scientists. So these are the people that I trusted that they understand the need of data, since the organization referred to them as data analytics, data engineer, or data scientists. So the focus was based on people that have an understanding, or to say people that are carrying data related projects in their organization, or people that are running data science projects in the organization. So meaning that these people had skills. So the first steps was on understanding their skills or their qualifications. So, all right, sorry, are you with me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, sorry, I got a distraction. All right. So now I wanted to understand first, just to have an overall of these people now that are entrusted with data science or data projects in organization. What are their qualifications if you are regarded as a data scientist? So it's so clear, most of the people that work in this field currently in Namibia, they were at a degree level. So 29% are at degree levels, and 18% are at master levels. So we can see at PhD levels, we have 0, which can actually imply that there is little people that can actually carry out much deeper research in data science for knowledge-based economy. So most of them are falling in the category of degree level. All right, so, and we have none at high school qualifications, so which is actually a good thing. So these are now the people that are carrying out data project, or they are data analytics, data scientists to refer to in organizations. So then I went further to understand. So the other question was, how would they rate their organization on the ability for their executive managers to use data and analytics to improve or to transform business? So the findings revealed that these people trusted their managers' skills on data to be of average, which actually led to 28%. And only very few that rated that their managers are regarded as world-class, which came at 5%. It's very important to know that if you are in an organization and the people that are spearheading the organization do not understand data, then it will be very difficult for any implementations on this upcoming area. So that's why it was very important to see how do they rate their managers. I then went to continue. So now, what is your current position? What is their current positions? Now, if they are dealing with this data, what is their current position? What is that they are doing? What do they refer to? So as we could see, most of people that are dealing with data in Namibia, it's reflected that these were network engineers, followed by IT managers and IT technicians. And then we have a programmer and system analyst. But if we look at the position of data scientist itself, it's equivalent to only one, who was referred to as a data scientist. If we look at data engineer, we have 0. No one was referred to as a data engineer. Business analyst, almost 1. Application analyst, business intelligence analyst. So what does this mean? This means that data job in organization are not carried by people with the by people in right positions to say. So there is a dissimilar career which is likely to lead a high incompetent worker in data analytic area. So if you have an a network engineer who is not his focus supposed to be in technical or infrastructures of networks, but he is the one now carrying out a network work, then you have a misalignment in skills, and these need to be dealt with. It's a concern. So that was one of the findings. So as I mentioned, that we have very minimum or none to say people that are referred to data scientists in organizations in Namibia. So then we continue. We wanted to find out from their organizations, like what type of data that are available within their organizations. So, you know, data is mostly divided into structured, semi-structured, or unstructured, and multimedia content. So most of the organization had more, at 45%, structured data. So this means these are data that are well formatted. And the least data is actually multimedia content. And they can also be unstructured data at 6.3%. So these are the data that are available in most of organizations in Namibia. So we could say that we have all type of data in organization. And the question remains, are these data analyticable? Like, do people have technology or tools to analyze this data? And again, as the world continues to mobilize of high technology, in high technology use. So I wanted to find out what is the most tools or programming language that these organizations are using. It happened that most of organizations are still using SPSS, and the programming language is Java, which rated at a count of 19. As much as data science most of the time is mobilizing the use of technologies such as R and Python, that is not the case with Namibia. So we are still people are using Java, which I think in this case, Java was mentioned not really to say that it's a language that is used in data science, but maybe used in other aspects of programming. So that's why it's rated high. So, and SPSS, yes, a lot of organizations are still stuck with SPSS, and there is a need for us to explore the limitation, or to realize that SPSS is quite limited. It's very, very simple. Very, very few people using Python, and as well as SAS. And actually, I could say I was lucky or happy to find out that 4 people were using SAS data mining, since I think these tools are still not much common in Namibia. And then, knowing that, we wanted to find out what is that the most machine learning language deployed in their organization, because we cannot be talking about data science without focusing on machine learning. So I wanted to grab an understanding, our organization really deploying or running this machine learning within their departments. And yes, about 40% participants or organizations stated that they are none of the above. So meaning like they are likely not to be performing any machine language or machine learning language. So they are not deploying any machine language. And that was followed by a clustering algorithm. So most of them say they are using clustering algorithm and decision tree and and regression. So and very minimum at text minings. So there are organizations that are actually involved in machine learning, although it's a very, very small or minimum rate. Now, what is, most of the things can only be implemented if we have a framework that is guiding the implementation of something. So I wanted to find out if organizations are using any framework or any techniques implementing when they are thinking of data-driven organizations. And only about maybe 14 people that said yes, they have a framework available in their organizations, and about 70 there is no framework. So meaning that it's hard to implement something when you do not have a framework. So a framework, it's one of the things that need to be formulated or need to be accessible in organizations. And then one of the question was the business functions, which one use mostly the data analytics, like which departments use mostly the data analytics, or they think that it's of need to do more data analytics. Information technology department rated high, and it was followed by operations, and followed by fraud management and custom services, and very few that indicated that they will not know which one. So and very little actually that use market and advertisements, which I actually not was very disappointed, because I feel like data analytics with the growth of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and all that should be actually a good platform for organization to embrace it in marketing and advertisements. But that was not the case specific for these organizations in Namibia. Now, when it comes to money, are we investing, our organization seeing the need for data science? Are they seeing how much are they investing? So we could see that most of organizations are very investing very minimum, or to say none. But those ones that are investing, which is actually less than 10 organizations, they are investing quite good. Some are investing 2 million, 4 million, 6 million. So we could say there is still a lot of improvements. People need to see the needs, and data science projects or budgets should be taken serious and budgeted for us to increase data-driven decisions. So now, so that was some of the key findings based on graphs and all that. So, but here I just want to discuss some of the challenges that we further engage through questionnaire or through interviews. And these were some of the things that managers or these individuals actually listed to say that there is a lack of data storage. Data storage is one of the challenge that organizations are faced. So most of the organizations find it expensive to acquire well-structured data storage. And through my volunteer work and so many visits of organization, I could attest to this, that storage, people are sitting with data, but to make it very accessible in a way that it can be analyzed is one of the challenge. And they have also stated skills as one of the most challenge to set up well-structured data warehouse. So even though they are willing now to implement or to come up with this data storage, the skills, the people to do this is also one of the challenge in existence within their organization, but due to lack of knowledge, they are not utilized. And also one of the most important things that is mentioned is government. Government does not have policies in place about data protection, privacy, and implementation. So it makes it difficult to implement it at a lower level without a constitution in place. So we need to force or to mobilize the use of for the government to realize the need for having a policy or for having data protection, privacy, and implementation, since this internal framework have to be aligned to the constitution in place in the country. So now, what do you think your organization needs to do to overcome? This was one of the questions that I posed to them. And 99% of participants listed training or creating awareness about data management and decision making. So Namibians, we still have a responsibility to create awareness. So let us not give up. We still need to continue creating this awareness. Go to government officials, offices, and just have a presentation on the power of data. Maybe using some use cases will be of good examples. And then they also criticize that people at high positions have little understanding of benefit of data analysis in organization. And thus, they tend to invest little or none. Yes, it's a challenge if you have top management that don't see value on whatever you are doing. So if they are criticizing data science, then it makes it even very difficult for them to put a budget on investing on these projects of data science. So perhaps also one of the things is to target, as we go to creating awareness, to ensure that people that are part of this awareness is also people in management, because these are the people that are responsible for making decisions. Now, to identify the challenges that are holding back utilization in public institutions, I just made an overall all the challenges. Through my experience, I have realized that understanding of data science job roles is also one of the challenges. Like if you go to an organization and maybe they are planning to set up data science, or people do not, most of the time they do not know really what data science or it's all about. So we have a data engineer, data analyst, and a data scientist, and most of the time people just want to recruit one person who is possibly will be doing the data engineering for the organization, the data analyst as well as the data scientist. And it will be very difficult to make people understand that these three roles are different paths with different responsibilities. So, and also lack of data skills. These challenges include challenge to find competent workers. So yes, it's actually good like university like NUST that realize that we need to have data science or career, and I think they are fully in a process of finalizing courses in this field of study. And also we have poor data quality and structures. So the data is very poor and unstructured, and sometimes there is no better way or better tools to access this data. So making a data scientist very frustrated. And also limitation of data mining tools, that's still falling under poor data quality. So if you do not have tools to access this data, then it remains a challenge. And lack of resources, these are challenges around money issues, infrastructures and hardware as well as software. Lack of business understanding. So people sometimes do not think data science is a miracle. They do not really know what is their expectation to get from data science. They sometimes expect magic. And it's as a data scientist, we need patience maybe to educate people slowly that this is just data science in simple terms. So understanding a business and trying to align it with data science is one of the most challenging that company do not understand. So in conclusion, that was the end of the presentation. And thank you very much for listening. I thank you for your time.
Ruusa, that presentation was very informative. Really, thank you a lot. I think all this data and how you interpreted the meaning from it was very relevant. Hopefully, we have more people listening to what you were saying, because I think it demands action from what you just described, and really very informative. I have plenty of questions, but let's leave it for the end. I would like now to introduce Klaus. Klaus has contributed to data-driven decision-making in Finland at different levels, and he has brought benefits and importance of data collection awareness also, not only in Finland, but to many places that he has traveled, over 20 years of experience. So now I would like to ask Klaus to enter the stage and also contribute to the conversation.
Thank you, Lais. Very nice to be here, and thank you for having me. You make me sound like I am the one person who has been driving the development in all over the world, and I'm not sure if that's the case, but I do have 20 years or more experience working with our customers and working with the digital processes. And I talked with Lais that I come here to tell you about my experiences and my opinions about how we can collect quality data from our customers or for our customers. Is my screen shared?
No.
Oh,
maybe
Ruusa needs to stop sharing before I can start sharing.
Yes, Ruusa.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's try again.
And while Klaus is in the process of sharing his screen, I just would like to remind the audience, if you have any comments, any questions, you can write in the chat and we will talk about it in the end. Klaus, are you there?
Yes, I am here again. Sorry about that. I needed to restart Zoom because I gave it more permissions.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe now you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So first, thank you, Ruusa, for your excellent presentation and about Namibia's situation. It was very interesting to hear all that, and my presentation is not about actual situation anywhere. It's not about Finland nor Namibia. I'm just pointing out some things that I have learned during the years are very important when you are gathering data and when you aim to have as good quality data as possible. Your presentations ended with a sentence about how people doesn't understand the importance of data. And that's very frightening to hear. It's frightening in every country in the world, and it's as frightening in Finland as it is in Namibia, because without data, you don't know where you are going. You are driving blind. You have no way of knowing what you should do to develop things if you don't have data to look down to. So it's very important to point that out, that it still needs working and education and talking with people in high positions to make sure that they understand that having the data is the most important thing in the world. My name was Klaus Nylamo, or is still Klaus Nylamo, and I have been working here in Eduix for a bit more than 10 years, and in public sector for a little under 10 years before my time in Eduix. So basically, we can talk about any sector of society, but in my example, we are talking about education because Eduix and I have been working with education sector for such a long time. And my first point is that it's very, very important to have data to run upstream. And in the following sheets, I am going to explain what I mean by that. The basic principle is that we don't get quality data if we are asking from above your details, your data, your scores, or any other piece of data you might have. The only way to get good quality data is to have in each level the people who are working on that level to collect the data, to create the data so that the upper levels can make use of that data. And the only way we can get those people to work for us to create the data we need on the upper level is to provide them with some kind of motivation to use the tools we need them to use. And to achieve that, I think that we always need to ask that what is this level? For example, here level 1 is student. What is he or she benefiting of creating the data for us that we can actually use? And for student, I think the best motivation is that a student can learn and follow how am I learning and how do I compare? Is the knowledge I achieve comparable for other students? Am I having a good education? Am I going forward in life? Do I have the skills that the society needs? And so on. And when we are talking about teacher, of course, when teacher creates the data, he's actually answering the question, how am I teaching? That is always something that teachers want to know. When you are comparing teachers, or if you are principal and putting teachers in the line, that's monitoring their work. But when you are actually doing your teaching job, I think it's in every occupation, it's very important to know, how am I doing? Am I good in what I'm doing? And principal, of course, he's responsible how my teachers are performing, and that's why he creates the data that municipality needs. And on the municipality level, what schools need more support. That's something that they need to investigate and create data for. And finally, in the level of Minister of Education, what areas need more support is the question he or she needs to answer. But the basic idea is that we get the pieces of data from the first level, and then we work the way level by level up in the stream, running the data upstream. And that's the only way that we can have quality data in every level, but most importantly, on the top level. The opposite of this approach would be, of course, that Minister of Education would be the only actor in this story who tells that he needs data. And then we would start collecting the data for him, for his use. But that's normally not a good way to go. The data quality suffers for that, and we don't get accurate data from the bottom level. Reporting principles, my first slide says that report from systems, not by using reporting systems. And that's actually the main thing from the first sheet. We need to motivate by creating tools that actors for each level really need to use, want to use, and are motivated to use because they get some benefit from using them. So use the tools to do and not to tell what you are doing. Instead of using the tool that you use to report that I am doing well, use the tool to do your actual studying or teaching or managing teachers or managing country or whatever your job is. Use the tools so the data gets created, so to say, automatically when you are doing your tasks. Systems don't improve data, people do. And that basically means that it's not always about the systems. Of course, it's very nice to have and very good to have good systems that make it so much easier to get the data, to analyze the data, and so on. But many times it's about the decision. It's about the conversation between people who decide that what kind of data we create and how we measure things so that the data is comparable in all places. For example, if I didn't know that my grade after university would be comparable to other university, I wouldn't know if I'm doing good or should I get more education or so on. So without these common decisions about what numbers mean and how they are granted. We don't actually have data that is comparable, and if it's not comparable, it's not quality data that we can use in the base of the decision making. So first thing is to know what we need to know and what is the question we need to ask to find out. So when we need to know about students' skills, we need to know first that what is the important skill we want to learn about, and then we have to create a test or question to find out what the level of the skill of the student is. And reporting principles number 3, of course, there are many more principles if time is limitless, but I try to put down the 3 most important ones for me. Do something clever with the data. When we have the perfect tools to gathering data and we have the perfect tools to analyze the data, sometimes it happens that we don't know what we are looking for. We have tons and tons of analysis of data from different aspects, and still we don't know what we are looking and what we are expecting. These are the most important things. Of course, when we are entering the era of artificial intelligence, it might be possible in a couple of years that when we just have a lot of data, we can have artificial intelligence looking to the data and giving us feedback from it. This is deciding itself that what is important and what we should do based on the data. But at the moment, we are on the level that we do have to know it by ourselves. We have to know that what kind of data we are looking for, what indicates what is important to see that if this number is going up or down, we should do something. And another very important thing is to know beforehand what you will do when the trigger fires. So when some value you are following goes up or down the level of the trigger level, you know what to do next, and you have a clear tactics how to proceed with that. So conclusions about this: motivation by excellent tools that are really helping each level to perform. That makes sure that we get the data when they are actually doing their job or doing their task. The data is created automatically and we can get it in use for upper levels. Start with the questions you want to ask. We don't want to just collect all the data in the world. We need to collect the data we need to find out the answers for our questions. And to find out the answers for our questions, the first thing is to know what the questions are. And after that, study the data you have to find out the answers. Know what to do with the data you have, what you have gathered from all the levels from down to top. So I think that my part is done here, and let's hear the next speaker, and then we can go to the questions and discussions part. Thank you.
Thank you, Klaus. Oh, I'm really happy with this webinar because these presentations are very informative, and I think it just reminded me of another webinar that I attended, and the person talked about this Einstein insight that he had. If he would have 1 hour of life, and in this 1 hour, his life would depend on making the right question to find the right answer. He said that he would take 55 minutes just to make sure he's asking the right question. Because after knowing the right question, the answer is easy to get. And I think it relates totally to what you present here, Klaus, about knowing and learning to make the relevant questions so you can do something with the data. But we can make more comments later. I just got very excited. And now to the stage, I would like to invite Sebulon David, the CEO and founder of Glowdom, that most of us, if not all of us, already know. So please, Sebulon, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Lais. I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen, but first let me validate first that you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, and we can also see your screen.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Lais, for the opportunity and for the earlier presentations. My job here now is going to be very, very easy because I'm putting together what Ruusa has highlighted and what Klaus has presented. And I'd like to share in this talk our work that we've been busy with the past year, last year and this year, and we continue to do in Namibia together with Eduix. We have joined forces with Eduix, and we have been applying some of the things that Klaus has mentioned, and some of these things are addressing the things that Ruusa has mentioned already. So what we are doing in Namibia is we are working on digital transformation in education, and we have a very unique, I would say, approach because we are building this thing from the grassroots, working with the schools. But the ultimate goal is actually to get to the national level, having digital infrastructures that addresses the information needs in the country. And more especially, we're looking at having systems that are interconnected and allowing these systems to talk to each other, but making sure that there is timely data collections as well as correct data also. It's very important that we have the right, not just collecting all kinds of data, but making sure that the data is also correct to make meaningful decisions. So I'm going to highlight this. I only have one slide here, and we are working on building an ecosystem. The one thing that we've understood with this work is that we have clearly understood that this is the work of not one company only, and it's not only work for a few individuals or organizations. This really requires a collective approach, a very holistic approach. Glowdom is mostly involved in product development, in consulting, and so on. But we include and we try to look for strategic partners from all angles, from the international level, partnering up with Eduix as an international company, as a supplier, and also partnering up with national connections and higher institutions in the country to allow action research to take place and so on. But also including in the ecosystem other local partners, players in the space of innovation, technology, and also creation, content creations, and so on. But what is interesting really is that not to dwell so much on the things that have been spoken already by Ruusa and Klaus, is really the need to address information needs at all levels. So we put our space is basically our domain is education, and we put a student at the center of everything. And we have realized there's information needs and data that needs to be addressed at student level, and also realizing that the motivation is very different compared to the other players or the other actors involved. And when we're working on this space, we've realized it's very important to make sure that there is data, enough data and correct data to increase the youth capacity for labor market, because this person is a student today, but in the coming years, this person would be somebody working or making decision somewhere else. But also in the current state, there is a need for the right relevant data and real data, timely data, to make sure that decisions that are being taken for this person today have a positive impact holistically in the ecosystem. But also making sure that the parents, they are also involved in this whole ecosystem of the AHA ecosystem. making sure that there is enough data that brings the involvement and the support of the parents at every level. And if the parents are well informed and they have the data about their students' well-being and so on, and the support that the student need, then they will know how to contribute to the teachers and the school. And when we work with with schools in different part of the country, and this has been highlighted already by Ruusa, for example, as one of the key things of lack of digital skills as one of the way that can hinder the process of digital transformation and making data-driven decisions, is that there is a need to capacitate teachers with the right skills, 21st century skills, for them to be able to use these software tools and that will allow them to make data-driven decision, and making sure that there is the relevant tools that allows people to collect the needed data for them to issue action. Now, at the school level, principals also need to have the right data to help them either guide the teachers, or either, for example, communicate and interlink the teachers to the regional levels. And we have realized how important this is, and that most of the principals, they struggle so much with this work, because one, they maybe and sorry, maybe somebody needs to mute. Okay, so we've realized that there is a need for the right technologies and the relevant skills, more especially as well for the decision makers, like the principals, the head of departments, for example, data to drive the curriculum, for example, to support the teachers, and also to make sure that most of the work is automated. Most of these leaders, usually their time is usually taken up by all these processes that could be automated, for example. But then we have realized, as we engage schools in different part of the country, we have realized that there is that great need to automate some of the processes, so that then the principals and the managers could actually focus their attention on other things where they are really needed. But then when we look at the regional levels, when we elevate these to the regional levels, then it comes back to economic empowerment and the growth and so on, and the need for the right qualified human resources to be able to drive quality education and national development as well, and so forth. And these collections of data is not really, we've realized that it's not really happening as it should, and very minimal data is being collected, which is not really enough to make a decision, a data-driven decision timely. And it usually takes a long time for the region to have all these data collected and to make meaningful decision and interpret these things and say, what is this data meaning, and what does it translate into, for example, to say, over 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, what does this do, and so on. So there is a need for a systematic data collection for more efficient decision making to take place at the national level, but also to realize that Namibia is not in silo. We are connected to the global village, and a practice in Namibia could be leveraged by other countries as well, and hence the need to connect to the international level. And we see how this plays out very well in the communications between and working together with Eduix and other partners on the continent as we are scaling the efforts and so on. Lise, I would like to end here, and maybe more questions can come from the audience, considering that the time is quite limited and so on. But I wanted to highlight the AHA ecosystem and how we have already started this journey, and really looking for potential and strategic partners to work together towards a nation that is driven by data. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sebulon. Also, another very inspiring and informative presentation. So now we are open for questions from the audience. If you have any question to ask to the presenters, please write it down in the Zoom chat. I would like actually to start making a question to Ruusa. From your teaching experiences in NUST, what are the teaching strategies that NUST is using to support students in the learning of how to make the right and to collect the relevant data and to interpret this data meaningfully? What are the teaching strategies over there?
To be honest, like I said, we are just at the stage of developing a curriculum which will be implemented, and it will be at the master level. So nothing really more that we could have done apart from us establishing a community, which we try to bring all the stakeholders together and just educate or give awareness on this data science and even hands-on practice skills or training to different people from different organizations, which is actually done just voluntarily to create awareness for everyone and just ensure that people understand what data science is all about. And in addition, maybe also with our current courses or programs, we also tried knowing that data is part almost of every how do I say, it doesn't specific need to be in a specific area. All areas can be education, it can be health, it can be whatever. So we try to integrate a data analytics or data science components in every program, with the future hopes that in every program, graduates would understand the aspects of data science. Regarding the quality of data collections, and that we might really not have much to do, since the data has something to do with ownership and all that, and all we could do is just to maybe educate Namibians on how to collect quality data. But in helping or in assisting them, that will be not applicable.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that question about the, not question, but the comment about the quality data and also the privacy, the data ownership. This is a very, very relevant discussion, especially now with all the big data.
Yeah.
And for Klaus and also Ruusa, actually this is an open question, it's a comment / question. Because right now, actually, we are facing the fact that we might have, or we have much more data. For instance, I just mentioned this big data, and well, of course, there are many companies that actually concentrate the biggest amount of data, let's say Google, Facebook, or whatever. But there are many cases in which we have a huge amount of data and we don't have the time or the resources actually to analyze this data or to interpret it and to take something meaningful from it. So what could you suggest for organizations or researchers or any stakeholder who is starting to implement some sort of data collection system, data management system, to avoid collecting too much data that is not going to be possible to actually analyze and integrate it meaningfully?
Okay. And that question, I think it's okay. I would want to open up to start with the question on what not knowing maybe what they can do with this data, maybe because they do not have time or whatever to look at all the data. So I believe every data can actually give meaning, unless really it's what we call inequality, data that are not of quality or not really adding any values. That means that they need to be cleaned out. So, but otherwise, what I would suggest, if these are not for doesn't have much privacy issues, I really suggest that organizations do really have open minds to open data, whereby they can actually open up their data. Last year we have a conference on open data, whereby we just mobilizing organizations to put up their data there and maybe to public, and they never know what researchers can actually find in this data. And the findings they might not see, but maybe someone else might find something that can add value to Namibia or to their organizations at large. So maybe avoiding collecting all data, it's really maybe, I don't know if this is applicable, but having systems that are able to discard unnecessary data during the data cleaning process. So if maybe parameters are already defined to say ABC is not unnecessary or it's not of value, then it means maybe we discard it before we continue accumulating data that are unnecessary. So that's in a simple term, maybe I could suggest.
I totally agree with you, Ruusa. You had very good points there. Keeping an open mind and expecting that in coming years we can do more and more when all the software and things we use are developing. Also, the privacy part is very important because there are signs that people are losing trust in companies that are actually gathering the data. So I think that it might be that people are getting more and more cautious about releasing their data. So it's very important to talk about privacy and be very open with privacy issues, telling people that yes, we do have a lot of data, but it's totally anonymized and it really must be anonym if you don't need the personalized information. So keeping an open mind, keeping privacy issues in mind and being very open about privacy issues, I think that these are very important things.
Thank you.
Yes, okay. And well, I believe we are in the end of this encounter. I would like to invite the participants to make closuring comment or remarks that you would like the participants to take with. We can start with Ruusa.
Thank you very much for this platform and Glowdom for bringing up this. We are looking forward doing more work with you. And yes, as we don't know if the world out there in Finland, how do you, what maybe, how can you contribute to a Namibian developing economy when it's come to skills challenge? So perhaps you'll be able to, you know, because skills in this field of study, it's really one of the challenge, and I don't think it's at a national level only in Namibia. I've seen it worldwide. It's a challenge all over. So maybe having a workshop at some point or having technical skills conferences at some point would be really of help, whereby experts can be invited and maybe really a lecture or give a conference or whatever of any sort. It will be of helpful to these upcoming developing countries and just us trying to embrace the use of data in our country.
Okay, just finishing questions, Ruusa. I believe they are for you. We have two questions here that please you could try to answer really fast. Which computer program language do you think will be suitable for doing analysis in Namibia? And does NUST offer short courses on data analysis?
We do have courses on big data, and the programming language used so far it's just Java.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not only courses about big data, but just data analysis in general.
No, we haven't.
Okay. And what about you, Klaus? What are your final remarks?
Sounds very final, my final remarks, but thank you for this webinar. It was very good, and it's always nice when we are working with Sebulon. We are here in Finland in north, and you are far away in south, and still we are working with same kind of issues and same kind of problems, and having also same kind of ideas how to improve. So I think it's very important to discuss also at the level of mindsets and not only about software and solutions. I think many things are resolved by deciding what we are doing, and actual doing is very small part of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And what about Sebulon? What would be your final or concluding, or maybe not so much final remarks?
Yeah, so thank you, Lois. I would like to conclude with just highlighting the need for us to build a national digital infrastructure for planning, development, implementation, and decision making. And this is calling on potential strategic partners and all organizations that there is a need for us to put our heads together and really build systems, the right systems to influence decision making and further development. Thank you so much, Lais.
Okay, thank you very much, and hope to see you in a next webinar series. The recording of this webinar will be available at Glowdom and Eduix blogs, and everyone is very welcome to visit the blog websites and share the recordings with others that you think it will be relevant for them. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.